Hello, my most amazing artists. Today we are going to be doing a lot of painting in preparation for our Chilean landscapes. You are going to get 4 half pieces of paper. 2 will be construction paper and 2 will be this brown paper. The first thing that you want to do is go ahead and write your name on all 4 of those. Then you also will get 2 pieces of white paper like this. These are going to be used as placemats. Just so that we don't have a lot of paint on the table. So you're going to put your name on these as well because this is how your artwork is going to stay on the drying rack. So for instance, you're going to have, you'll lay your paper on your placemat just like this and then slide it onto the drying rack. And that way these little pieces will fall through the drying rack if they're sitting on there by themselves. So having this placemat is great. So again, you're going to put your name on there. This is going to be the back of mine, obviously, because I'm writing my name big. Put my name on that and that. My name on that and that. This should not take very long. I think it has taken me, let's see, 20 seconds so far. I'm going to put my name on this. And it might be good if you put your teacher's name on here too. So put your teacher's name on this white sheet as well. That way if anything gets separated, you've got it written on there and I know where it goes. Okay, so if you want to put one of these under your seat, at first you can. And I'm going to show you some techniques. So, we are going to be creating different textures. So on my first sheet of paper, I am going to paint. I'm just going to get some paint and paint on here kind of thick. And you can mix the paint, but if you'll look up at the color wheel that is on the, see, this placemat is great because then you don't get the table messy. But if you'll look at the color wheel that is up on top of the bulletin board that's straight across from me, you'll see the color wheel. And when you're painting, you don't necessarily have to rinse out your brush if you're using colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. However, if you use colors that are across from each other on the color wheel, those are called complementary. They will make a brown. So right now I'm using green and yellow, and if I look at my color wheel, green and yellow are right next to each other on the color wheel, and that means that they're called analogous. So I don't have to rinse out my brush to use green and yellow. Alright, so I'm just adding some more paint. I'm trying to get it on there kind of thick. I don't want it real thin and scratchy. And then I'm going to take, I've got some cool little utensils, and I'm going to take these. Y'all will have to share. I only have 2 of them. And I'm going to just create texture. You just rub the paint through. Or, I mean, you rub the utensil through, and it creates that wavy texture. I also have another one. So, I could try this one a little bit different. And then my paper will dry like that. So it gives me this really cool texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this one here, okay, and I can take this and wipe it off so it gets it ready for the next person to use it at my table. So wipe that off and wipe that off. Again, these mats are great because it doesn't matter if they get paint on them. It's better than getting it on the table. All right, now I'm going to take my second brown paper. It has my name on it. I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to take my brush, which I actually don't have water over here, so I'm going to take my brush and kind of just wipe it off on my scratch paper because I want to use different colors on this next one. And I'm afraid if I dip my brush into those other different colors, I might make brown. So let me move this out of the way. I'm just getting the majority of the paint off of my brush without using water. Okay, put that back down. And this time I'm going to use blue. You don't even really have to be thinking about your landscape yet. Today we just want to make painted paper. Okay, next week we can think more about how we want to place the painted paper for our landscape and what looks good. And if y'all want to trade with each other, y'all can do that or share. I think that we'll have plenty of painted paper. I just want to be sure that we have enough. And like I said, you can share. So don't worry about what you're making. Part of these will be mountains and stuff. We are going to make one with flowers, so I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm just painting this blue, and the next thing I am going to do is use this little foam roller, and I'm going to get some paint on it, and I actually need to come up with a better way, but I'm just going to roll some paint on it with I'm going to put paint on it with my paintbrush right now, just because that's the best way I can figure out how to do it. We really need a tray of paint for this, but we're using these egg cartons. So anyway, just kind of paint on there. I have several of these, so you might have to share, but there should be enough for every table to have one and share. All right, again, if the person before you uses like yellow on this brush and then you want to use purple, those colors are across from each other on the color wheel, meaning they will make brown. So I'm just going to do that and hold my paper down, and I can make these lines, these texture lines. Okay, so one thing about this is that you don't want to overdo it because you want your textures to show up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these to the drying rack. My name is on both papers and my name is on this placemat page. So I'm just going to carry it just like this, and I'm going to take it to the drying rack. Let's just pretend like I do that. All right. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to take one of these sheets and we are going to do like a plaid with a dry brush. So what you want to do is you want to just kind of take your brush, and you don't want to put a lot of paint on it, and you definitely don't want water on it. You just want to do some stripes, and it's okay if they're not fully painted. Like you can see, these look kind of scratchy, so that's okay. All right, and then you want to pick a different color. So again, I'm going to take my brush and just sort of get most of the paint off of it, because now I'm going to go for yellow. And I know that purple and yellow make brown. And I might even make some brown when they mix together here. So now I'm just sort of making a checkerboard. And then I may even decide that I want another color. So I think I'll get blue and do a blue stripe along my yellow stripe. So again, don't overdo it. You don't want to just add stripe after stripe after stripe. You want to be able to see the construction paper through. But there you go. So just real simple. This will look like texture. And the last one, I think, is going to be my favorite one. So what you're going to do, we're going to use a piece of cardboard right here, and we're going to print flowers on these. So I'm going to place my pink sheet of paper horizontally, meaning side to side, not up and down. And I'm just going to dip my cardboard in the green paint. And these are going to be stems, so I'm printing. We're going to print with our finger, and we're going to print with our cardboard. This is why you need to do this paper last. So I should not see you doing this paper first, because once you print with your finger, you will need to wash your hands. So I don't want you guys washing your hands until the very end. Okay, now let's see. You'll have some smaller pieces of cardboard as well, like this. And you can dip that in, and you can print leaves. You can print several times before you have to go back and get more paint. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm printing 2 flowers at a time. A lot of times printing is a much better method than painting if you're trying to get skinny detail, because it's hard to make a skinny line with a paintbrush. So anyways, just printing my leaves here. And now I am going to use my finger to print. I think I'm going to use my pinky finger because it's smaller. And I'm going to print just a circle for the middle of my flowers. Again, we are not getting this all over our hands. If you choose to do that, then you're not really taking this seriously, and I might have to pull the paint from you. So just be sure that you're taking this seriously. You see my pinky, it's not all over my hand. Now I can take my pinky and just rub it off on this, get the paint off of my pinky on this placemat sheet. And then I can pick another color, maybe purple or red or whatever color that you want. And I can just dot that around to create the flower. So again, it's just your pinky finger. This is not that messy, okay? If you want to do some different color flowers, you can. But in the Chilean landscapes, they have really beautiful floral parts to them and greenery. So that's why we're adding this to our project. When you start running out of paint, you just dip your finger in again. And you can do as many of these as you want, as many as we have time for. You can overlap them. So anyway, this is just what it looks like, and I'm not completely done, but for the video's purposes, you know what we're doing. When you are finished, before you go anywhere, before you take this to the drying rack, you will need to take your pinky and wipe it off so that the majority of it is off. That way, when you get up to go to the drying rack, you're not going to accidentally touch somebody with your finger. See, if you look at mine, it's a little bit underneath my fingernail, but mostly it's dry. It's not going to get on anybody. Okay, and you will take this to the drying rack. And then next week, we're going to use our painted paper to create a landscape. We're also going to create origami houses, which I think will be really cool. So, we are going to get painting. I hope you have a lot of fun today. Don't get too messy. You're in control. Stay in control.